Well, what's the news throwing at us today, everybody? It looks as though we all got Epsteined. Well, your healthy assumption should be, no, we weren't going to ever see these files. But there's a big takeaway on this because people that still trusted everything and, anything the government was telling us before, even they have a healthy distrust, which should be our operating system, Because you say deep state now, it's a lot more acceptable at work in the conference room or in the break room than it was before after all this. But there's still a way to fix it, I think. We'll see. I don't know. In good news, let's get out of politics for a second. We're going to also have the story of a hero Texas rescue swimmer who's 26 years old that saved almost 200 lives. It's like the same old story. Every time there's some horrific tragedy, like with the Camp Mystic flooding, there's always a heroic story to talk about. Those are the people we should feature. And it appears Hollywood still doesn't get it, guys. There's a new Superman movie coming out. Sounds cool. And the director says it's all about immigration. Right or wrong, no matter how you feel about that, Hollywood does not get it that people just want good movies these days. We'll talk about that too, but thanks for hanging out with me. Thank you for taking a break from Amazon Prime Day. It's today, one of those days, to hang out with the Wicked Radio live stream, all part of Wicked Wisdom with Bill Adams, all the social media platforms. And if you're watching or listening to this later on the replay, thank you. Put your notifications on and the follows. I appreciate you. Audio podcast will be up soon too. So it's hard to find anybody that's not even aware of this story because it's just massive, obviously. We were all told, in fact, by the FBI director, in fact, by many intelligence officials, we've got those Epstein files. We're looking at them right now. They're on our desk. Well, I think the lesson that even a lot of people in this administration learned was there's an underlayer of the swamp up there that's even more powerful than they are. And there are some people involved that we'll never even know their names. But it doesn't change the fact that there are a lot of people disappointed that they didn't get the information that we were promised. All right, first of all, let's go to what happened yesterday. It looks as though, in the official statement from the administration, as of right now, and this may change, it may change, because this is a real test where Trump himself needs to really listen to the people and understand how pissed off people are about this. Because one thing that Americans will not put up with, no matter how you feel, no matter how you vote, whatever, no matter who you are, is being lied to. Well, kind of goes without saying that that's been happening for decades, right? But in this particular case, there's a lot of people, a lot of normal, everyday folks, hard-working Americans that feel fooled and lied to with this whole Epstein thing. Because the official statement is, it looks as though there's no, and I'm using finger quotes here if you're listening, files. He killed himself, and it's case closed, don't even ask about it anymore. Basically, that was it in a nutshell, right? Oversimplified, but that was the message out of D.C. yesterday. Well, Caroline Leavitt, how would you like to be her yesterday? She had the hardest job in America. She had to try to explain all of this and get the information out to the people as press secretary, and that's a tough thing to do for anybody in that job. Young Peter Doocy from Fox, he asked the relevant question. He said, but we were told, right, we were told by the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, that it was here. She was reviewing the files. What happened to those files? What happened from a couple of months ago to right now? And here was the official answer. And then she went on to what they really do. I don't admire her, but she had to try to come up with some kind of an answer. As of yesterday, today, because the backlash and the outcry, things may be a little different.
According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox News.
Got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars.
Okay, then she went out to talk about current operations that are going on, and she, as a press secretary does, she pivoted to, let's talk about something positive. Let's talk about the criminals we took off the street and what's like. But the fact remains, I mean, it's the elephant in the biggest elephant in the room in the country right now. And by the way, good for Peter Doocy and others in that press room, even from some networks you don't like. asking the relevant questions. What the hell happened to the files? We were told. Here's the first problem with this administration. And a lot of people in it who are big on talking, right? I get that you have to keep your base entertained. I get you have to, captivate them. But you've got Kash Patel and you've got Pam Bondi and you've got, Bongino, and they're all big on talking about, we got it. It's coming out. Here's what we're doing. It's not just Missouri. We're a show me country. Stop with all the talking and just come out with results on something. Now, in this case, it's most likely a case where they spoke out of school. I don't know. These are highly, highly intelligent and effective people. They are, all of them. They just are. You don't get to that point without being one. Stop talking so much about what's coming out. Because even they learned, I think, there's a more powerful swamp system in place, even more powerful than they are. So what happens now? Show your work. People just want some sort of evidence of what you were working on, what you have so far, what you know. Just be direct with it. And people will at least be a little more satisfied. Because right now, nothing about this seems like it's on the level. Nothing does. I'll give you a case in point. Do you remember the JFK files? A couple of months, when was that? 3 months ago? So that was a Tulsi Gabbard project, came out with the JFK files. And no, there was nothing really revealing there, really. Nothing really you didn't already speculate on, really. You didn't get any true, complete, total answers about the JFK assassination. But here was the difference. Nobody's really talking about that now. You're not talking about it, I'm not, because at least it was showing what they have, right? At least they showed what they're basing everything off of that wasn't destroyed. At least they... And people were like, okay, I get it, there's not much there. We're never really going to get the answer, but at least they tried to, It's like a new family moving into a new house, and it's like, I don't know everything, but here's what we have. Here's the files anyway. Here, you guys take a look at it. I thought that was handled great. I really did. No, it wasn't revealing. Yes, a lot of it was redacted. Did we get a final answer? No, and we're never going to. No. But they showed what they have. This thing with the Epstein file? No, we all got Epsteined. No, there's not everything. So we're supposed to believe he killed himself, even though with this new jailhouse video release, there's a minute missing. Right, sure, we're supposed to believe that. There's no files. There's no client list, apparently, even though people had said before that it's there. No, we don't believe that, but show what you have. We all have our theories, for sure, but don't ever feel bad about having a healthy distrust of these people, because I think there are people who are new in this administration right now who don't even trust what's going on. This was interesting. This was an interview. I think it was Jesse Waters who got the interview. This guy is a former CIA officer who's, must take a lot of guts, or he doesn't have a clearance anymore or something. He speaks a lot about this kind of stuff. His name is John, and I hope I get his last name right, and you probably know better than me. Kiriakou? John Kira, it's Kiriakou if you look it up. It was interesting last night talking about this, and he says, no, it's not. Of course this isn't on the level. We're never going to find out what this is. But it was revealing what he said, a little long but interesting.
We're still learning about the FBI's operations against Martin Luther King 55 years after the fact. So now we're supposed to believe that everybody's telling the truth, that there were no files, there were no dossiers? I'm sorry, I just don't buy it, because I know how these people operate.
But isn't that the good operating system we should all have? I mean, really? Because things changed now with all of this. They just really did. Because the if you look at national poll after national poll, trust in the intelligence community, among like regular people like you and me, it's zero. Like there's zero trust. I don't think that's bad. I think the healthy operating system to look at this stuff is, I don't trust what the government is telling us on this. Doesn't mean you hate the government. Doesn't mean, you're going to backlash against it. But you should always take it with quite a few grains of salt. Compare this to maybe even your parents or older relatives back in the day, 50, 60 years ago. It's a way different kind of situation, because we have more information now. We're smarter. We're smarter than to fall for every line they tell us and have a healthy distrust. So, anybody that before, even a couple of years ago, was walking around talking about the deep state, it's not so laughable now, is it? That's no conspiracy theory. There is a underlayer, if you want to call it the deep state or something else, up there in the swamp, especially in the intelligence community, that's not getting us all the information. There's nothing wrong with believing it. That's the God's honest truth. There's, And some of it we probably shouldn't know. But show what you can is all we're saying. Show your work. And they can actually do that. And the other thing is, stop promising things that you don't have until you fully know. If we're all learning about this, these new people in the administration are learning too. Here's something, speaking of a new guy in the administration, that Kash Patel, FBI director, had said in 2023. Now, this is an interview with another podcaster, Benny Johnson, who's great. You probably follow him. He gets some great interviews as well. But he said this on Benny Johnson's show in 2023. Benny's asking the question of what Kash Patel says at the end reveals all before he got the job, before the muzzle was put on him.
Regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list, why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
Not only did he say there's a list, it's who's on the list. Of course there is. Oh, so he got arrested for nothing? Is that what it is? And the other thing is, with this healthy, I call it a healthy distrust of what the government tells you, right? That should be your main operating system. Like they come up with some line, you're like, I don't know about that one. It's people thinking for themselves. This goes back to the same thing. Healthy distrust and show your work. Now, you may be watching this or listening to this later on after the press conference happened, but it's supposed to be a press conference coming from Trump himself. I'm going to hope that it's about this kind of stuff because it's a real test for him. It's a real test to see if Trump himself can get a pulse of the people, read the tea leaves, and understand how pissed off people are about this. And maybe, we'll see. And like I said, in a few hours, we'll understand. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, we already know. He'll put the pressure on his people to at least show your work. What do you know? Tell the people what you can and can't say. Because right now, there's zero trust in all this. Zero. And handled very, very, very badly. But that's the takeaway. You're not a conspiracy theorist if you don't trust everything they tell you. Don't let anybody tell that you are. So we'll see. We'll see where that goes. I don't know. But did you really think, honestly, did you ever think you'd see this? Ask yourself an honest question. I know we all got fooled because you had people like Pam Bondi and you had people like Kash Patel and even Bongino saying, we're going to get to the bottom of this. You're going to see the Epstein list. Let's be honest, guys. Let's be adults here. Even if you're a massive Trump supporter, all of these characters kind of ran on this, right? During the campaign, they were all telling us that the Epstein files were coming out. Okay. Did you believe it, though, despite the promises? I mean, this is years ago we're talking about. Do you think that the bad characters in the swamp up there were going to let these files exist somewhere? Maybe it's just me following these news stories for so many decades. I never thought we'd see a thing. But again, for like the 10th time, what we should all insist on is that they show their work, at least what they do know. That's all we're asking. Maybe they will. I don't know. Let's see. All right, let's get out of the swamp for a second. Boy, you can't find a more swampy story than that. Jeez, the deep state and the Epstein files. It's just, even talking about it is gross. All right, let's talk about something good. Because as is always the case, in the worst tragedies of the world, really, in the most horrific thing, and that certainly was the case with the Camp Mystic flash flood in Texas. Just horrible all the way around. There's always this shining light of humanity that comes through. There's always a hero, or multiple heroes in many cases. This guy is incredible. First of all, let's get his name. He's a Coast Guard rescue swimmer named Scott Ruskin. Listen to how humble this guy is. I'll tell you his age in just a second, too. Listen to what he did, because he's done a lot of media talking about how many lives he's actually saved. This guy is incredible, and now he gets to tell his story.
So based on that, I got on scene, boots on the ground at Camp Mystic. Kind of discovered I was the only person there as far as like first responders go. So yeah, I had about 200 kids mostly, all scared, terrified, cold, having probably the worst day of their life, and I just kind of needed to triage them, get them to a higher level of care, and get them off the flood.
This kid. Yeah, well, I got there. I kind of discovered, it looks like I'm the only one there, so I'll triage them, and I'll coordinate the Black Hawk helicopters, and I'll get them out of there. Yeah, close to 200 people. You saved hundreds of lives. And by the way, Coast Guard rescue swimmer Scott Ruskin, He's 26 years old. If you can imagine the kind of shape you have to be in to be a Coast Guard rescue swimmer. Oh, my God. But by the way, how many lives did he save out of Camp Mystic? 165 people total who would not be alive this morning if that guy didn't do what he does. 165 people. Not only did he rescue them on the surface, triage them, but he coordinated, apparently, the Blackhawks and the other helicopters that had come in there to rescue them. That's a hero. And so casually says in the interviews, well, I got there and I realized that I was the only one that was in that far and could help, so I decided to coordinate. Every time, if you look hard enough, in every single tragedy you hear about in the news, there's always some hero, and that's always a takeaway. Even in the darkest moments, there's always some kind of shining light like that guy that gets it done. Amazing. At 26 years old. What a hero. Thank God for him. All right. Let's get out of even that and go to Hollywood. Hollywood has finally learned that people just want to see good movies now, right? No. You know that wasn't the case. No, absolutely not. So I guess I didn't even get the release date, but they're doing the press for it now. And some of the premieres. There's a new Superman movie coming out. Fans of Superman and comic books said, yeah, cool, this will be awesome. Still a Warner Brothers product. And there's a new director for this one. He is Sean Gunn. He's got a brother that was a big one of the Marvel Disney directors, James Gunn. He's a different story. This is Sean Gunn, his brother. He had some interesting things to say on the red carpet about the premiere of this new Superman movie. Now, why he went this angle, I'll never understand. Why Warner Brothers or any studio lets these people talk, I'll never understand. Because if I ran a studio, I would never let these people talk. I swear to God. I'd market it as some sort of a gimmick where we're not going to let the actors or the director or the producers talk about it. We're just going to show you the movie, right? It's kind of like back where what we were saying, show your work. Because here's the latest controversy out of clueless, tone-deaf Hollywood about their latest movie. Here's Sean Gunn just yesterday.
It's exactly what the movie is about, I think, that, we support our people, We love our immigrants. Yes, Superman is an immigrant. And yes, the people that we support in this country are immigrants. And if you don't like that, then you're not American.
Oh, it almost made sense. Almost had it, right? Could have ended it at, we love people. We love people in this country. We need a hero. Would have been great. There would be no controversy. People would be like, all right, you go, Sean Gunn. Yeah, it looks, you know what? I'm excited to see this Superman movie now. But then he turns it into, we love immigrants, and if you don't, you're not American. And of course, because they never do. And this is for example number one of Clueless Hollywood. They never separate the two. Because almost every single American you talk to loves immigrants as well. Ones that come in legally, right? Yes. Also, this is another reason why, if I was a studio head, I just would not let these people talk. I just wouldn't. I would put them away in a room somewhere and not let them do press. Of a time when, shockingly to the Democrats, most Americans, cherry pick any poll you want to, are in favor of a deportation plan. I know it doesn't seem that way when you look at the news. I know it doesn't, but it's a popular move right now. Then you come out and you say, if you don't love all immigrants, you're not American. You can't. This movie might be doomed from the start. Whether or not you feel that way, why are you coming out and saying that when it's such a hot button issue? When the audience is telling you, we're all telling Hollywood, all we want to see with movies is escapism. All we want, and you're talking about a comic book character, for Christ's sake. All we want to do is go to the movie or stream it later on and forget about your world problems for just a little bit. But here's the director coming out saying, if you don't, yes, it's an immigration movie because he's an immigrant. If you don't like that, you're not American. Oh, God, here we go again. So you hear that and you're thinking, without knowing what the movie's all about, you're like a head of a family. You're like, oh, do I have to take my preteen kids to this thing and we're going to have some sort of woke immigration discussion in the car? No, I'll stay away from it then. That's what people are going to think. So if this movie bombs, you have nobody to blame but him and everybody. And it may be great. It may be awesome. I don't know. It is possible to make a movie that doesn't have any message, any political or social messaging to it. Look at Top Gun Maverick a couple of years ago. Great movie. They did an awesome job. It had all the 80s cheesy elements to it that was just cool, an action movie. It was just, Tom Cruise got it, that America doesn't want to hear all the other stuff. Not this guy, not these people. They cannot help themselves. And it comes down to one thing. They're totally, completely in a bubble, tone deaf in Hollywood. They don't get what their audience wants. You want to know why Hollywood's dying? And that industry is morphing into something else? There's your reason, right there. Easy enough to see. All right, the take. I got to get out of here. I'm out of material, and you got to get going with your Tuesday. Make it awesome. Takeaway: You're not some kind of conspiracy theorist if you have a healthy distrust of the government. You're not. And all we're demanding, and what we should all demand of these people, is just show your work. We get that you can't reveal these names. It's probably an international operation. We get it. But you better start showing American people what you've been working on. Then we should all demand that for sure. And another reminder, just like with the Mystic Camp flooding, horrible thing, in every dark situation, there's always a hero. There's always a beam of light in the worst situations. All right? Good thought started to go into midweek tomorrow and tomorrow. Maybe Trump's going to have this press conference later on and show all the Epstein crap. Maybe this is reading the pulse of the nation. I doubt it, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. In the meantime, thanks for finding me with the live stream. We're live every single day, about 8 a.m., Monday to Friday anyway. We all like to take the weekends off. And then this is the replay later on X and on YouTube and Facebook and all that stuff. And some extra content on the other social media channels as well. That's Wicked Wisdom with Bill Adams. Audio podcast. Available soon wherever you like to get those too. So thanks for the follows, downloads, shares, all that good stuff. And put your notifications on. Have a wicked awesome Tuesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow.